Well, there's
I don't know,
plenty of
there's-
roads that aren't maintained that are in the county system. They're two different things. We have lots of roads that aren't maintained, but they're in the county system.
But you can't close it.
Can't close the gate?
You can't, you have to let the people go through.
If it's a public road, I think that's what she's.
Okay.
Well, I'm just simply saying the county maintain, well, I'll tell you why. We try to close it up above the cattle guard. And it was when Richard Updegrove was transportation guy, he said, you can't close it,
Right.
Because
It's
it's a
probably a
public
public road.
but not county maintained.
Right.
Okay.
And this would be necessarily neither. This is just simply an easement.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be a public road, it wouldn't be in the county system, it wouldn't be maintained necessarily. And it's really accessed by virtue of a piece of paper. Nothing physically changes.
Larry? Oh, hi.
Hi,
sorry.
Carol Byers. I just wanted to interject just a point that I live on Old Archery Road, and there's a prescriptive easement on the first probably 300 feet of it. And in order for the people to maintain that, they had to close it off once a year for 24 hours. And that was never done, so they don't bother with it anymore.
Well, my only fear is with the that we have now, and that road is open to the public. Who knows what's gonna go in there? You know? If I was an investor who was gonna put in something that I didn't want people around for any reason, or if I'm the Sierra Army depot and I don't want incursions near my depot with the way things are now, I don't want that to be an inhibitor to the sale of. But if you can guarantee me that we can close that road off, I'll go with that.
No guarantees. We don't know.
Malcolm, guarantee me.
Put a sign up says no public access on the gate.
So we can put a gate up there, or we won't, the county won't, the new owners, if they so choose.
It's not a road.
Okay. And this is just an easement to the acre that is full of PCBs.
And it's only gonna be, it would also serve REA if they wanna come in from that direction as well.
Well, they can come in from any direction.
But they won't have to do anything.
Yeah, they don't, yeah, they've got keys to every gate. I mean, they can access.
I guess my point is, I don't, no harm, no foul.
Yeah,
But I would say though that if we transfer this, it becomes private property. And, you know, just on the odd chance that nothing happens out there for a few years, and people travel that road, they may enjoy a prescriptive easement on the new owners.
That's true.
Ms. Byers has mentioned.
People may have been using that particular way to access what I don't know for a long period of time. And you may not know it, and then it gets conveyed to private ownership through this process, and the new owner posts a gate and says no public access, and the person that's been using it forever to access, again, we don't know what, some piece of the desert.
Furlong Junction.
Yeah.
Get a drink.
Yeah.
it's close.
Decides they want to, seek a quiet title action for a prescriptive easement for access across land that, you know, we didn't think anybody was going to be in it. The likelihood, pretty slim, but it's out there.
They would cross that bridge, whatever.
This, what I was referring to, was the map, it's in this packet, the very last one in this big binder number, I think this is
Yeah.
one of three, so it's the very last one in one of three. And it shows, it's titled Army Airfield Marketing Feasibility Analysis, Existing Airfield Facilities, and this is figure 2 of 2. And anyway, it shows pretty much it's a blow up of that whole area. But over in here where you show the shoreline, kind of where the pole line road comes up, that electrical station is just north of there. But it talks about general area of Honey Lake test site contaminated. They got barricades, they've got some topo lines kind of drawn in there. So it kind of delineates what is on that other report. So when I went through this map, to me, I mean, you can include this entire document, but it covers a lot of just miscellaneous stuff, and it has a number of these. It basically is designed to kind of show the marketing of that. It's a marketing document, but it clearly defines where the contamination area was. So I thought that this one page here, along with that other document, needs to be part of it. So a person who, is serious about that needs to understand that there's something going on out there. So.
Would you like just that map or that?
No, just that map is all of this part, and I just had those 2 pages in the other document, but to really understand the importance of those 2 pages, including the entire, which is the Appendix D that's on our attachment, makes a lot of sense because it gives you the narrative of what all that means.
So given that, then the substitute resolution would have modified language on number 1, and it would say the release of the RFP included in the September 23rd, 2014 board packet is hereby approved, and then strike out without any modification and add, except that Exhibit F is to be included in the RFP as introduced at said meeting. Thank you, Gail.
You've done this?
And by the way, that is on the disc.
It's on the disc, yeah, but in terms of identifying what the document was, that's the heading, and where the other 2 pages didn't have like headings you do, that's why I included to Susan the kind of a cover sheet which showed the document it came out of, and that led to them including the whole document, which really makes more sense. So.
The point being, of course, with the disclosure of all of these materials attached to any RFP process, it's difficult to credibly argue that we didn't disclose all of them front.
Okay,
Matter of public hearing.
so you're not talking about easement along pole line road, right? You're just talking about up top.
Where's your?
Yes, I think that's.
We're talking about
Yeah, we don't want people back there.
coming in
Yeah, just
here,
that,
up here.
to
to
the
the spot.
parcel, okay.
And the board directed last week that we not include an easement along the north-south corridor.
Right, and we keep that 30, what is it, acre?
38, I think.
53 acre, turned from 30, started at 30, now it's at 53.
Yeah, it is.
Things seem to be growing
I don't know what you're talking
at the bottom of that
about.
parcel
Oh.
along the lake.
What about it?
It started at 30 acres and now it's at 53.
I don't know where the 30 acres came from, Supervisor Hammond.
But I believe you.
CL,
If there's a ground
I
line that's in
estimated
this
30, it's always
project.
project.
okay.
Because, from what I understand, we're keeping that 50-acre parcel along with the strip that comes down to Susanville Road, which is 20 feet wide by over 1.25 miles long, so adds up to approximately 53 acres.
Maybe that didn't include the strip originally.
It comes down pole line.
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
Supervisor Alba.
Okay.
Malcolm, you're back now, and I asked a question earlier. It's on page 5 of the legal description of Exhibit A. Under the also exempting therefrom the Amity Airfield road parcel, that very first paragraph.
Let me get my binder open, please.
May I make a comment? That is the 65402 legal description for purposes of the 65402. It's not the legal description for anything we're using here. Was for purposes of the planning commission determining that it was consistent with the general plan. So it's kind of apples and oranges in a lot of ways.
So this here will not be included in your RFP?
Correct, that's not part of the RFP.
What page were you on?
5, 3, 5.
5, okay. Right, that's not part of the RFP.
Well, can I ask a procedural question? because I can tell you, you know, the way the internet is and the documents get posted, once they're posted, they're documents, they're there. Whether they're still pertinent, whether they're factual, whether they tie into whatever it is. But you have like on this Exhibit A that was attached to the Planning Commission resolution from June of 2014, that's where this legal description comes from. That says Exhibit A. Then you had last week's board packet, which has been out on the, and
A2.
then you have Exhibit A here, which was the version for that meeting, of which there's some alternative Exhibit A's. Now we have a new Exhibit A to go with Exhibit B, okay, with today's thing. And we need to come up with a better way to, for the final document, you know, maybe we come up with a different way of doing the exhibit, because I could see there are people capable out there that like to cherry pick, so they can grab this document over here from this file and this document up here and put together and come up with and says, you know, and then sue us because we sold them a pig in a poke because of the fact that, you know, and you're sitting there kind of going like, well, where did that come from? And we're all dealing with this in a sequential fashion, but we have created a paper trail now that has a number of documents, and it would be nice to have where we're not using, you know, these previous exhibit numbers. Maybe come up with exhibit, you know, 09 dash.
Well, yeah, what we've done with, if you look at your Exhibit A, we put on the bottom each time we've done a rendition of the date of the print.
Well, that's true for
Of that.
today, but it doesn't have that on these previous ones. And, you know, when you take a legal document like this here, where now there's a reference to this Exhibit A, and is this, these legal things, is it related to any, it may not even be related to any of these maps that we've got marked as Exhibit A. It could be relating to a whole different document within Exhibit A. So the fact that we reuse the numbers over and over again in such a close time frame and having different versions of the map, because I gotta tell you, the map Exhibit A for today is significantly different from the Exhibit A map of just a couple weeks ago.
So we could put something like final Exhibit A on this one, and I agree with you, that it would have been nice if there was just a ghost draft across everything until this final meeting, live and learn, but so we could call this one something else.
Do we have to call it Exhibit A? Can you call it, you know, Exhibit T in honor of Tom or something?
Yeah, well, we can't change what the planning commission did, we can
Yeah,
change
we can change
ours.
ours, yeah. I'm just saying that for the document we're gonna be voting on here.
For the RFP.
Mhm.
We could call it the, yeah, I mean, that would also change the order of all the exhibits, I guess. We'd have to make sure that the resolution and the rest of the stuff matched. We're gonna not call them, letters.
Or can't you just say A dash and then put the date today? And then
Exhibit 1 to the resolution of whatever date. Points well taken.
No, you know, I mean, I can tell now, I mean, I never really thought much of it, but as I was going through this, pulling out that one document, I had the rest of the file in there, and I'm kind of all of a sudden looking at all these.
Well,
And Aaron starts talking about Exhibit A that's on page 5 of the packet, and I'm going, shouldn't
Could
we've
I
got
make
a
a
lot of Exhibit
suggestion?
A's here.
what if we take, like, for example, this is Exhibit A, what if we call it Exhibit A2, resolution of the board, whatever the title of the document is, so that it's specific to a document?
Yeah, I think we're gonna need to start doing that.
We
might
could
wanna
say
think about it as a
Exhibit B
practice
to
across the board, everyone else.
resolution.
Everything.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
exhibit,
so everything should be referenced Exhibit A to resolution blah blah blah. Exhibit B to resolution blah blah blah.
and Exhibit A2, request for proposals dated.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we used to have the
We need
ballot
to make
measures,
the
where every time we had a
record, right.
ballot measure, it was like, measure A, measure B,
It is.
whatever, and then they got to a point where we alphabetically, so every 20 years we recycle. They did that with the state propositions after Prop 13 passed. And then they had a couple more elections where Prop 13 popped up as the number, and they, that confuses people.
So
now
we,
every 20 years, we start the alphabet in terms of the numbering system
Or some other
for
word.
propositions to try to avoid that. So we need to do something like that with these exhibits.
so we'll add to each exhibit what the exhibit is to.
And so let me just conclude by saying, that's my job,
This is wrong.
and that's a point fairly taken. Making the record, something I just spent 21 years doing in open court, and I didn't expect and didn't anticipate that I'd be doing that in this forum, but it's just as true.
Well, until just a moment, and after all these years, I've never seen this many
Yeah.
Exhibit A's at me sitting in front of me.
Well, I thought it was business as usual.
No, this is very unusual.
So Galen suggests that after what he proposed to introduce last time, which was accept that Exhibit F is to be included in the RFP as introduced at said meeting, he also adds, and that the exhibits in the RFP are to be labeled accordingly. So that gives us enough wiggle room to make a distinction.
And I think that will
with it.
accommodate the concern expressed today, and then I think also the comments expressed today should give staff sufficient notice to conform their labeling of exhibits in the future so it doesn't present this way. Sound reasonable?
Very good.
Discussion. All white supply.
At 3:34.
All right.
This comes back from 617, this is on the future board items, and Tom, you brought this up to, now this year, Army Depot coming to board, and then you have the FFA use of property around the runway. Is this action we're taking today preempting what you requested back
No.
in June?
No. No. And I don't know, have you talked to,
Lori McCollum?
yeah,
Many times, the office has, yeah.
and I've spoken with them also.
What do you say, Mark?
About what?
The airport land use plan, is that?
Yeah.
They've offered, we're looking at a couple different consultants that would be capable of doing an airport plan, and they would need, obviously, information. And so we've been trying to get that information from the base, and that's been kind of hit and miss. But Galen has made a contact with someone at the state who is working with the colonel, I think somebody from Caltrans, and we think we'll have a better success getting that information through that channel if and when we do go to prepare an airport land use plan.
And just so that we all understand this, it's the Airport Land Use Commission, which a couple of you are members of, that has the obligation to prepare an airport land use plan.
Right.
Correct. And so that's why the board's directed us to go forward with this,
Yes.
recognizing that they have,
Who are those members?
There's
Tom.
7 seats.
Bob and,
Me and Bob.
right, and 2 members from the council, Lino
And
and,
there's a vacancy.
The vacancy is on the airport manager. There's 2 airport manager positions that are, there's a selection committee that's comprised of the managers of the airports in the county, which is Larry Millar and the manager of the Susanville Municipal Airport. One of those positions is vacant, and the public member position is vacant as well.
and so we're scheduling Airport Land Use Commission primarily to advise them of what's going on here, but also there's interest in an applicant for the vacant seat for the public.
Does that have to come on the agenda?
Doesn't come here.
Doesn't come
It
here.
goes to that body and it's selected by that body.
so there, so technically, I guess you'd say their Airport Land Use Commission is in violation of not having that plan now. They'll still be in violation of not having that plan when we make this transfer.
Right. Depending on the speed at which.
NSA's detected some sort of a threat on your,
That's so, folks.
I had one
amateur remark at all.
further remark or question. I was at the east end of the runway, where this 191 acres appeared. Is that the 2,000 feet? I was under the impression that was the property underneath.
And then some.
Yeah. Well, all of a sudden, I'm not sure, but I was under the
this is 2,000.
No,
The
the
parcel.
2,000 feet that the federal government built onto
This
our
one.
property, right.
At least.
So,
The landing strip was 2,000 feet, but there's a lot more land in the landing strip than that.
that's what I'm
They're
trying
really-
to, and I was under the impression it was,
Well,
to me-
if you look at the airstrip parcel, okay, you have an airstrip down the middle of it, and it's like 8,000 feet long. But they've got, you know, when they created that parcel, they took quite a bit of ground on either side of the airstrip and kept that or reserved that as part of the airstrip parcel. The airstrip just goes down the middle. And so when they extended it 2,000 feet, they basically, in terms of going from 8,000 foot strip to a 10,000 foot strip,
I
they
get
took that same buffer zone that exists around the original 8,000, and they created that as the extension, and they came to the county because now they were building that extension on the land they had given to us, rather than the land they had kept for themselves. And so as part of us being part of that deal, when we went to Senator Feinstein and got the appropriations to build the 2,000 feet, we then deeded or leased back, that's what the lease is, leased back. And I don't understand, remember, why they wanted those two strips on either side of the old parcel. There was like a little narrow strip there. That to me was
it's 500 feet from the center of the runway, is what
what
they,
they
how
wanted
they
to
did
do.
that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe that was
That's
what,
probably what it is.
maybe that was the airspace or whatever they had to have.
1,000 feet from the center. 'Cause
Is
this
it
is about,
1,000? I
this
thought
is
it was
about
1,000
2,000,
total.
I think, isn't that right?
It's 20, from outside of the
Yellow.
lease area to the outside lease area, it's 2,200 feet.
Okay. But my question was it seemed as if when we left this meeting last time, that we were just gonna put into that parcel the property underneath the airstrip. That was
You're absolutely correct, Mr. Chairman, if I may answer that question. You're absolutely correct. That was the discussion, but the discussion also was devoid and absent of the fact that we had this pre-existing lease with the Army for
Right.
this yellow area.
Right.
And that emerged after the discussion that we had last meeting. And had we had the knowledge or remembrance of that, if that had been included as one of the factors, then I think, you know, the action the board would have been like looking at taking would have been to include all that area. So I think, yes, the board took that action, but I think it was a defective action as it turned out.
I recall the discussion is that we were going to retain all of the land that was the subject of the lease. That's my recollection of the discussion we had last week.
That was my understanding as well.
I
I
guess
voted no
I guess-
because I didn't accept any of the discussion, but that's another thing.
I guess I misunderstood.
And that's what this represents. I don't know that the blacktop even goes onto any of our property.
Yes, it does.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they added 2,000 feet to it.
I know, but I think this is the end of the runway. This is an approach.
No, I think they,
Malcolm's been out
Okay,
there.
I don't wanna cloud the issue. I was just a little bit surprised when I saw that. But if push comes to shove, the buyers aren't gonna be able to build anything anyway there, because it's the approach and the exit of the runway. I mean, it's
well, it's
a moot
also,
point.
it's also subject to the lease with the Army, so you can
Yeah, so
give
it's
it
a,
whoever
it's a
you want
moot
to, but
point.
it doesn't mean anything. The Army controls it.
I was just under the impression that this was gonna be a different map, even though it's not changeable right now. I was under the impression when we left this room that it was just the property underneath the runway. And I know I'm not the only one that thought that, so.
Is the blacktop the one there?
I'd have to take a quick,
Very, very clearly.
I could be back in
that
about
was
10
said.
minutes
That's what
with that answer.
Just wait.
I remember that as we were gonna retain the land under the runway.
Yeah. Well, that was the way it was
The
presented.
land
to
under
us.
the runway belongs to the Army.
Yeah, but that's
No.
more than the land.
They built it 2,000 feet. on
We don't
the
own any
property.
land under the
Well,
road.
yeah, down here, but up here.
You can listen to it live and be happy to tell you what it is.
That's okay.
It's okay, it's okay. Be that as a thing. It's just that we gotta make things a little clearer.
I thought we were clear.
I thought we were clear, but, you know, that's why they say ready break and everybody runs into each other.
Yeah.
Nice straight lines. That looks good.
Well, since we have it back on the table, we're basically back at considering this resolution, I'll throw out the pitch I threw out last time, and that is that northeast kind of corner there from where the Amity Road comes down.
You've already voted on it.
I was gonna say a
Point well
motion,
taken.
a motion to reconsider by one of the three members who voted in favor of not including that would be definitely appreciated by the two who voted against it. I can't move to reconsider because it has to come from the majority side.
Okay, so where are we?
In your
Well, I got a-
Well, in the movie
I'll take-
Groundhog's Day,
Okay, I
every
don't wanna
time
go,
it gets
I'm not-
up, it gets
I'm not going
better,
down
but
that road
in this
again. We're
case,
gonna
we don't seem
go away
to.
from that for the third and fourth and fifth time. I make the motion to accept the RFP as worded, except for the,
Changes that were made.
right.
Would you like me to read it?
Please,
Yeah.
Okay, section 1 of the resolution proposed in the packet would instead read,
let's make sure the clerk, you
Uh,
go
page-
slow for Madam
I
Clerk.
gotta find it, which resolution, the one that I wrote?
page 9
Substitute
of the proposed
resolution.
resolution under consideration by the board.
Okay, slow down. I want to make sure we make record properly.
Okay, the one that was just given to me.
Right.
I've got it now under number
Okay.
1.
Number one.
Under number 1, the release of the request for proposal included in the September 23rd, 2014 board packet is hereby approved, and then strike out without any modification and add, except that Exhibit F
Slow
is...
down.
Wait a minute.
She's good.
Do you
not
have
that
it
good.
typed there?
I have it handwritten. I
Okay.
I can go up and type it in
No, no,
a
that's
few
okay. I
minutes.
mean, if I
Keep
can read your
going.
handwriting.
I'd rather have it on the
It's,
tape.
you'll read anyway, but I would like it
So-
also in writing if I can get that.
So I was at the
done.
point of striking, we struck without any modification and added, except that Exhibit F is to be included in the RFP, comma, as introduced at said meeting, and that the exhibits in the RFP are to be labeled, and then however, I didn't catch how you were wanting them labeled.
Accordingly. That was
or
what
you-
I added.
With reference to the documents that they
Okay,
are
now
exhibiting.
you're adding to the whole, okay.
Yeah.
Instead of accordingly, you want it to say
Labeled.
Labeled with references to their parent documents, would that be
Sure.
accurate?
Yeah, we don't want no illegitimate.
And then the other modification from the packet is number 6, which Maury printed and
It's
provided.
added,
that's
it's
on,
added
that's-
number
she's got
6,
that.
all of number 6.
Yes.
That was
Okay.
that one.
60-foot,
The
60-foot easement to the
substation.
switch station.
Switch station,
Substation.
the capacitor bank.
And then the remainder of that, after the parent, their parent document, then it just picks up, and the county administrative officer is hereby directed to release the RFP. For consideration, proposal must be submitted on or before December 11, 2014, in accordance with the directions contained in the RFP.
Geez, I can vote for that.
Now. Okay, is that a motion? I'm so confused.
Yes,
It
it
was.
was. Yes, it was. I
Do
made the motion.
we get a second?
We need a second.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna take public comment. And then we'll come back. Is there any members of the public that would like to be heard from?
Don't fight.
Keeping in mind our code of civility.
Civility now. Civility now.
Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it back. Is there any more discussion? Supervisor Elbaugh?
Yeah, I got several things I'd like to bring up. I guess my first one is there was some problems last time, so I would like to know who's in charge of this, so if something goes wrong during the RFP process, who's gonna be the fall guy, and how is it gonna be rectified, and how's the stuff gonna be taken care of?
Do I get
That's
that?
easy, it's Marty Nichols.
Starting Nichols.
I'm responsible for the RFP.
And are you gonna, so if something comes up, you're gonna notifying us, because I don't, you don't need to have the same thing we had last time, because it was, and then,
We're gonna run out of CA.
the,
Laughter is a way of.
Obviously, he's pretty confident.
I don't know about that.
The tension's building for all of us.
you know, I mean, I realize the reason why we want the big push to get rid of this is for economic development. And we got, you know, in the proposal there, you need to write down what you're gonna, what your projected plans are,